All right, sorry guys. Where were we? Um, Teachers have found that using a visual timer or handheld device to indicate when an activity will end has been helpful. That would have been helpful. And just kidding. I give you a little bit of a idea that we were ending there. Hopefully I can make it through in another 15 minutes. That's to not bore you anymore. Facilitating transitions. Identify an area where transitional objects or photographs should be placed. Possibilities are an envelope or a box to facilitate increased flexibility for students. Teachers could add a question mark or choice activities in the schedule. Promote independence by asking students to check your schedule to determine the next activity. Review the schedule for the day at a specified period each day as to keep with the routine. Where are we at here? Sorry, that really just threw me off. Classroom modification. A time and place to work independently is preferred for students with autism spectrum disorder. Group work where interactions with peers are required will be more of a challenge for those students. It's a good idea to include both forms of activities of group and independent work, though, so we can kind of get a balance, not to overwhelm students with group work, but also to challenge them in the areas that are most difficult, such as social interaction skills. It is important for general educators to be aware of the items hanging on the walls and bulletin boards of the classroom. Can distract students with autism spectrum disorder. Many students with autism spectrum disorder can become overly attentive by details. An example in the book gives they use the student Andy in class. They're going through the weather for the day, and Andy becomes fixated on a cloud instead of, grasping the concept of they're discussing the weather. In the days of the week, it is important to also give consideration to both task design and task delivery when working with any learner. Some students develop a dependency on prompts from adults. How instruction is designed refers to things like what is the objective of the lesson, what is expected from the learner, and what constitutes mastery. In turn, task delivery, how will the lesson be presented, and what is considered acceptable in terms of student response. In the case of students with autism spectrum disorder, some do not respond well to oral instruction by teachers, and it is difficult to determine the meaning of the instruction. An effective strategy used to avoid prompt dependency is the incorporation of photographic activity schedules, like I previously showed with the daily routine. It teaches children to independently follow photo cues and eventually will help better with reading as the photos fade. A strength for many individuals with autism spectrum disorder is that they follow rules well. They like rules because it provides structure and guides action. It's routine, they know what to expect. That's the rules. However, they can have difficulty if the rules are broken. It kind of throws them off, and if they are required to adapt to situations where the rules may be different from the norm. For classroom teachers, it's important to recognize this, though, as that is one of their strength traits found among them. Teaching communication and language. A communication system is only valuable if the student can use it frequently and easily. If a student uses an augmentative or alternative system, it is imperative to adapt the system for use throughout daily activities. If the student uses a voice output device, it must be portable so that they can take it with them and use it for multiple activities. Using pictures in an augmentative communication system. Students with ASD may need to be taught the value of communication system in order to meet their wants and needs. Frost and Bondi devised a method to teach children with developmental disabilities to begin the communicative act through the exchange of pictures and photograph of the preferred item. The system is known as the Picture Exchange Communication System. Seen here, the PECS as it's called, has been widely adopted for students without oral communication skills. In the early phases of this program, students can learn about the communication act of approaching an adult and exchanging a picture for what they want. Later phases include teaching discriminative of items to select preferred ones, requesting in sentence form, then commenting on what the student observes in the environment. The teacher will also need to include extra time for the student to allow them, we're trying to work with them best as we can because they have a delay in speech, so we kind of have to allow patience with that. Because oral communication may be difficult, students might need more time than the typical learners. Students with ASD also may need to learn to raise their hand if they have a question or in response to the teacher's comment. They are less likely to learn by imitating others. Therefore, if skills are lacking, they need to be taught directly. For example, students with attention deficit disorder do not interpret nonverbal cues well in others. So it is important when teaching communication and social skills to teach these relevant points, such as making eye contact and evaluating facial expressions and body posture when interacting with one another. Teaching communication and language. Even if the student with ASD can speak clearly and has good vocabulary, it is likely that they will need practice with initiating conversations, speaking in sentences, staying on topic, and ending social interactions appropriately. Improving social interaction skills is a key objective to be addressed by most of the students on the autism spectrum, including those with Asperger's syndrome. Promoting social skills. Socio-emotional skill development is a core deficit area for students with ASD. One of the early diagnostic indicators of ASD is a lack of joint attention at an early age. In other words, there is no interest in sharing an experience or object with another person. Development of joint attention typically occurs by age 6 to 18 months. However, lack of this behavior begins the pattern of not relating to others that leaves the child with autism without many of the benefits gained from social interactions. It results in impairments in the ability to learn new skills through modeling or imitation and the ability to interact socially with siblings, peers, and adults. Social skills are important for successful functioning across relevant environments such as home, school, and in the community. We want to teach them to be good adults, good people. Promoting social skills, including students with ASD in a class with the typical peers, allows for opportunities for addressing the development of social skills. Peer models can be a great help in developing these skills. Inclusion of students with ASD in general education setting is more than simply placing a child in an inclusive educational setting and hoping that being exposed to the same age peers will make a difference in the student's development. Social skills represent one of the core deficits that students with autism are challenged by. As with any student, one size does not fit all. Therefore, active teaching of these skills is essential. If no structure or strategies are put into place to promote peer interaction, it's likely a student will choose to either stay alone or interact with just adults. Sometimes adults, teachers, they see these kids with autism spectrum and they communicate so well with them that they kind of forget that, they may not interact with their peers as well. So it's important to be mindful to explore the best fit for every student, such as classroom seating. For instance, consider where is the best location for the student to sit that allows for peer interaction but still provides the presence of structure needed by the student. Once a student has attained a social skill or any skill, it is important to facilitate the generalization of the skill with multiple social partners. For social situations, this means including multiple social partners while the student is learning a new skill. It is especially important for a student with ASD not to interact exclusively when it's an assigned classroom aid because it's likely that any skills will be demonstrated for that person alone. Also using the budding system, where a peer-mediated strategy of buddy system used in kindergarten. Oh, where's it going? Oh, sorry. I was just trying to redo that, and now I've lost my place again. This is a whole hot mess. Alright.